joining us from INECOL, which is a research institution in Jalapa, Veracruz, Mexico. And it is one of 27 research institutions throughout Mexico. Allegedly, it's one of the best, but you know about that. No, I think Mexico is incredibly fortunate to have these institutions throughout the country. And we are super fortunate to have Juan Martínez here to give this talk. He is a specialist on endemic and endangered species on islands, so that's a pretty topical issue for all of us here. He is also apparently the life of the party, but only if Orestes is at the party too. So you're guaranteed those boobies that you saw earlier. I'm just saying. So thank you.
Okay, for that, we have to wait a little bit. But before that, thank you very much for this invitation. This talk I'm going to be providing today to you is about Townsend shearwater. It's a species I came to meet. It was already quite a while ago, and I have witnessed the decline of the species over 25, 30 years. I went to Socorro Island the first time in 1988, and so the purpose of this talk is to think about this fragile species and to show you some of the things we have found over the years. Now, the next. For those of you, probably this is quite familiar. We know that Townsend is said to have a very limited distribution around the Revillagigedo Islands, a little bit over Clipperton, and during the non-breeding season is concentrated across the Mexican Trench. The cousin or sister species or relative of Townsend is newels. This is kind of the core distribution of that species that breeds on Hawaii, but there are reports of newels arriving to the coast of California and recent discoveries of newel-like or Townsend-like shearwaters in other islands in the Pacific. The next, please. For the phylogeny and taxonomy of this species that has been contested and sometimes split and sometimes put together and like two subspecies, we have done some classical mitochondrial DNA, and for that we can see that this is a clear comp. This is for cytopolon B, and what we have is two specimens from Socorro and 4 from Hawaii that are very close together, and Rufinos myrte as the sister clade to the whole group. When we get koi, we were able to amplify other individuals, so we can see both Socorro and Carillon Island, and here we can also see how they all come together, newels and Rufinos auricularis. This paper came out at the very same time as the AOU was splitting the species. For conservation purposes, we care about both of them. So there is more DNA in their way so that we can detect more intrinsic patterns in the species. The next, please. During our work, we came to check all of the islands. I want to let you know that several years ago, we were able to verify the presence of thousands on Carillon Island. We haven't been able to check that presence on San Benedicto. And before we go through 25 years of field notes, no, just a few lines. We are going to see how the colonies were discovered. The next one, please. To do that, I'm going to use the pictures of my friend and colleague Claudio Contreras, who is a wildlife photographer, worldwide renowned, and member of the International League of Conservation Photographers. The next, please. The Townsend Shearwater was discovered in Clarion in 1890, and a few breeding colonies were basically located around this area. And later on, as you can see here, we can see even members of this crowd community, the seabird community, who actually discovered other areas where these birds were breeding. The next, please. These are some pictures of Carrion. This is Ben Peak. This is also an area very nice for the shearwaters, as all the mountains in all the islands. The next one. This is another seabird that people study there, the sand albatross. The next one, please. And Claudio spent a few hours to get this beautiful thread to the booby so that you can enjoy the image today. The next one, please. And of course, since in Carrion we have a lot of hills and rocks, we have red tropic birds around the island, just to give you an idea of what's going on there. The next one. The next discovery was in San Benedicto, and that was made by Anthony in 1898. At that time, this crater was not as large as we have here. So Anthony landed, and this lava area was not present, so they landed somewhere in here when the volcanic ash cone that the Barsenac created in 1952 was not present. And these are some of the things they could, or they found. The next one, please. This is a view of, oh, this is, I have a spider. See? So this is the Barsenac volcano. This was created in between 1952 and 1953. And here we are looking at this area from the Herrera volcano. Just to give you an idea of how beautiful that is. And in the back, you can see Socorro Island, where the main shearwater colony is. The next one, please. When you are on top, probably you may think it is not that big. But if you look at me here, and the albatross here, and then you see all these ash lines, you can see that it is a beautiful volcano. And the next one, in those ashes we can find beautiful wedge-tailed shearwaters like this one that are waiting for biologists so that they are studied. We also have the pelagic frigate bird colony there. This is a beautiful photo by Claudio. And he also spent several hours to get the tonalities in the picture. The next one. And of course, we have also a Laysan albatross colony on the island. The next one. Finally, in 1925, and it was published by Mary McClellan, it was the assistant curator of the Department of Ornithology and Mammalogy in the California Academy of Sciences. She reported, or they reported, the discovery of a colony on Socorro Island. And that was the largest colony. So what we have here is an image that I published together with my friend and colleague Jeff Jacobson, who is a humpback whale researcher, and together we were able to cover the land and the sea to study Townsend shearwater. So here there are 5 areas. Of course, the circles is not exact, but we were able to find, let's say, 5 ravines, 5 areas where the shearwaters were located, and relative numbers so that you could get an idea of how big they were. The black dots, we were not looking for cats, but we were trapping cats, and we were marking when we were finding the cat sign, because we all know cats are a serious threat to this species. The next one. So again, this is Claudio, and this is pretty much when you read the Hannah's report or McLellan's report, you can see that explorers from the California Academy of Sciences came to Mount Everman through these fumaroles. This is very hot, and some people have had very serious accidents there. So if you go there, I hope all of you will be able to do that. Be very careful with the steam. But what they did after they passed this area, the shearwater colonies were somewhere around here. And it just gives you an idea of how common or how widespread the burrows of these species were at that time. The next one. Socorro Island is the island that has a forest proper, and also one of the common inhabitants from the sea level all the way to Mount Everman is this land crab, and that land crab builds cavities all the way from the sea level to the mountain top. And animals, including the shearwater, sometimes they take over those and build better and larger burrows so that they can nest. The next one. As in Clarion, we have two important areas on Socorro Island. Clarion, we have basically one beach where we get nesting green sea turtles, and they are part of the connectivity between Hawaii, Revillagigedo, Mantelo, Galapagos, and the Mexican coast. So it's an important metro station in the Pacific. The next one. Also on Socorro Island, we have all other highly endangered species like the Socorro mockingbird. This is the Socorro parakeet. For the AOU, it's not a species. For other authorities, it is a species. DNA and other indicators show that it is or could be considered a species. Again, what we matter about is the parakeet, and so we should protect it as well. The next one. And this is a species I have been close to for a long time, since I began working with Luis Baptista, who, by the way, is the person who provided the audio clips for the enla's account of the species on Townsend's anuals. So he was an expert in bioacoustics, but he also was interested in reintroducing this beautiful dog to Socorro Island, which is a task that we are now about to fulfill. The next one. So let's go over population trends. The 1993 Howland Engel mentioned a lot about the dynamics of the species. Pretty much the breeding birds will stay on Socorro Island, and the mature ones will go to the sea. And they saw a lot at sea. Howell, of course, is a person that enjoys these pelagic breeds a lot, and I guess he knows those seas very well. Gell, who also visited the island with another ornithologist, Kenneth Parks, he was able to see shearwaters flying in different places of the island where now it's not common to see them anymore. I then want to say, and this is a very sad honor, that I was able to see shearwaters in some of the areas where Gell was also able to see them. And again, my emphasis is in that we should be very careful with this species that is at the brink of extinction. Later, well, he estimated that there were less than 1,000 pairs. Espere et al., 1995, they estimated a pelagic population of 46,000 birds or so, which is too large. Of course, that estimate had a lot of error, so you really didn't know where the actual number was, but, well, there was probably a wishful estimation, and I wish that was the way today. The next one. Then, for the work that I mentioned to you that Jeff Jacobson and I reported in 2004, we actually compiled all the sightings that we did between 1993 and 1997. He was going regularly to the island to work with the humpback whales, and I was going regularly during this period when I was doing my master's at Villanova University with Bob Kubrick to ban and to follow Socorro mockingbirds. So by accident, I got to know the Shearwater. And it was by accident because I was pretty much really into the mockingbirds, but every night at night, in some very dark nights, the Shearwaters were landing around my tent. Just such a beautiful night. The next one. So again, this is a close-up of that area. Again, I'm bringing you to that paper that is a reference, Jacobson 2004. And what I want to show you is we have here this area that we are going to call the Northwest Forest. Here we have another area that we are going to call the North Forest. And then this is the east, and somehow these two are in the south, no? Well, the naval base is going to be more or less around here. And so we are going to see very soon, or not that soon, but very close enough, some relationship with these areas and the naval base. Again, you can see cat sign, primarily in the areas where we were hiking to get to the points where we were working. In my case, with the Socorro mockingbird, I have to say that Jeff was primarily checking shearwaters at sea, both in Socorro and Carrion. The next one. So for 1993 and 1997, I could say it was a nice number so far of 550 pairs were around this area, and that was just by looking at the activity and the bluffs and the shearwaters that were landing around areas where the Socorro mockingbird team was camping. The next one. Then there was another time where we decided to get better estimates of how the colonies were doing. For that purpose, we invited Rafael Chacon from Cozumel Island and Peter Olin, who might be hiding somewhere here and is not raising his hand. There he is. And with 3 other students from Inequal. And I have to mention that so far, Rafael, you are the human being with the highest ability to detect shearwater burrows without destroying habitat. And that goes for you and the excellent team that you have in Cozumel Island that are monitoring things and sea turtles there. You need to come back soon. Of course, here is Rafael. He's already geared up to find a lot of shearwater burrows. I don't know how he does that, but he finds the burrows. And of course, here we have the technical guy. He was carrying the GPS. And I guess that's me. And since I am heavier, they put me a little bit down, where the vegetation is a little bit harder to go through. So probably that explains why he was doing so well. I don't know. Anyways, what we found is that we searched around 9 hectares. We found only 30 burrows. We didn't find the colony proper. It was, we searched most of these areas in these circles that I showed you at the beginning, between an elevation range of 857 meters and 850 meters. The understory was very dense, very, very dense. And for that time, it was reported to BirdLife International, probably there were about 100 breeding pairs on Socorro Island. I also have to say that since we were aware of cat predation we were doing this at the very end of the breeding season because I saw during my work with the mockingbirds that pretty much all the trails, human trails, and also the cheap trails that were still present on the island, you could find shearwaters, killed by cats, so easily. Julie, could you just go back one, because I think I went too fast. If not, I will ask for forgiveness. We can do the previous one. And the other one. And the other one. Okay. Again, these are part of my entries in my field book. And so I was too fast going there. But in 30 July 1993, we are hearing the shearwaters flying above the camps in one of those southern circles that I showed you. In this one, 14 March 1994, again we heard the shearwaters flying around us, and it was in the other circle that is to the west. So that these are some near the breeding areas, and of course there are other entries that are in, let's say, down below the island, where as jail you could hear shearwaters, you know, just flying around you in the dark nights. Now we can go to the future, back to the future. Okay, now, in 2010, we began another kind of approach. And again, it was a conservative approach because we didn't want to disturb the shearwaters. And in this time, what we decided also to do was to visit all the islands where the shearwater was important. So we took a bus, not exactly, we took a boat, and so went to Socorro, carried on with the Navy and with San Benedicto, precisely with Club Cantamar here at La Paz, who is a diving operation that is committed to conservation and support science. So I have to say that because otherwise it would have been very difficult to go there several times. The next one, please. To do this, we then monitor some acoustic patterns with our friends of wildlife acoustics. It makes it so easy to go to the field with these beautiful machines, so that we could record precisely the moment and the number of calls of shearwaters, incoming and outgoing shearwaters in different parts of the island. So we cover pretty much all the areas around Mount Everman, and we also have the stations in other areas of the island just to see whether or not some of the historical patterns of visitation were still present. The next one. It comes very nice to see. This is not individuals. This student was helping me. These are calls, but let's be hopeful to think that every call would be an individual, which we know is not the case. It's actually less. But we can see when we correlate that with illumination that it is clear that the shearwaters come to certain places of the island when it is absolutely dark. Whenever you start getting more light, the visits go down. The next one. Then when we check Socorro Island in sectors, which is now a more, before we had 5, now we have to have 8. No? So we divided again that circle around Mount Everman, and we placed the automated recording machines. And what we find is that there is a sector which already we knew was very active since the beginning, and then another one, which is in this case is the reverse option, as the reverse pattern as we found it first, where we have all this activity, these calls happening. And there are two places where basically we don't have any reporting. And those places are the ones that are facing to the naval base. And I want to point that out because then I think there is a reason for that. The next one. Okay, and this is the timing. Again, if you want to hear in Shearwater, it's going to happen between 19 hours, between 19 or 7 to 9 p.m. And then through the night, and not too early in the morning because it is already bright. It is going to be bad for Shearwaters. And it is basically that period of time where all the activity concentrates. The next one. So here I am in San Benedicto. For this trip, I have the support from my friend and colleague Claudio Contreras, who you saw the pictures, and he also has my support because he carries very heavy cameras and camera equipment. And again, being me, the bulkier guy, I was carrying a lot of that. And we also had the support of another student, in a public art student, Juan Cervantes, who is very agile, and he was able to get the lines and the ropes and everything set up for the other guys. But all together we had a lot of fun. That's the Herrera crater. The white dots, primarily there are mass booties, and these are ashes from the last eruption, the Barcelona volcano. What I am doing there is setting an acoustic monitoring station. At this time, after visiting Socorro, Carrión, and San Benedicto, I could say that perhaps there are no more than 40 breeding pairs in the way of burros, which is not a very nice number. Okay. The next one, please. So, what are the challenges for these species? What should we do to avert the extinction of these species? We can do it, and it's very simple. It's just to let it go, to let it be. To let it be, not to let it go. So, here again, we see that in these years, we get in June, one fledglings of Pupillus attracted to the naval base, and in 31st March in 1995, again, the Pupillus in the naval sector, which is this one. And by the way, this is one of the specimens, because it died, that I used for the DNA analysis. So it arrived to the naval base. It was, as many of the birds, like in nubes, are attracted to light. They land in the incorrect place. They cannot take off. This was already in very bad shape. It died. But of course, one of the things we have to do is to know how to react when we find a bird like that first. And of course, the other thing is to change the light patterns, to change and to lower down light attraction. The next one. So this is me about 20 kilos ago. And it's another Shearwater attracted to the island by the lights. You can see here the light. It's a big ball. It was shining all over to the skies, not only to the street that it is supposed to be illuminated. The next one. So what we did is get in contact with the Mexican Navy and with the friends of experiment.com. Perhaps some of you even put $1 or $2 to that charity. We changed all the lights, or most of the lights, on the naval base. And you can see that the lights, the street lights, are very dim. This is with the drone. But then we have another problem, and it's the lights next to the building point. Especially, we need to think in a different kind of spectrum or spectra that the lights have to have so that they are not so appealing for the shearwaters. But at least now, we have this design, and so most of the light is actually channeled so that it goes to a circle down the street light where it is supposed to be, or where the people is supposed to be. The next one. And last year happened something beautiful. The Reunion Islands, from being a biosphere reserve, very limited, became a national park and also the largest protected area, no-take marine protected area in North America. I had the opportunity to work with the team of the National Commission of Protected Areas to craft the draft of this decree. And after we worked together on that, many other people were able to enrich the text. And I have to say that thanks to people like Judy, like Horacio, like Cecilia, who are very renowned seabird specialists, there is an article there that forbids light pollution in the nucleus zone. And in the buffer zone, there is the need to implement a regulation so that light pollution is mitigated. And that is already in that decree. In many sense, it has also other topics in which it is more advanced than previous decrees in Mexico. We have to be proud. And if you want to say to this guy, thank you, you should. Even though he may not be that popular, he did a very good thing for the sea and for the seabirds. The next one. Okay, now, the other problem with the shearwaters is cat predation. As I mentioned to you, in the early days I went to the island, it was very common to find 1, 2, 3, several shearwaters on the ground in just the roads, the trails that humans used to go to the sun, but also in the trails that the sheep were creating to roam and to graze the island. So here I have 3 entries. 25th June 1993, it has dead puffins or puffinus with signs of cat attack in the Mockingbird Ravine. Then we have 21st March 1994, we have feathers of puffinus above the table, which is a point of one of the old roads that is a very clear landmark, so that it would also show you where the shearwaters were arriving. Howell was able to see shearwaters there as well. It was dead. And then here I have another entry in 23 January 1996, another puffinus killed by cat. Although in that entry I have to go to the field notes to check for the location, but still you could see that from 1993 to 1997, which is pretty much the span of the first visits that we did, the cats were taking a very heavy toll on the shearwaters. The next one. So when we were able to trap, and we were able to check many cats, we actually went a little bit away from the purpose of studying Socorro mockingbirds, and we actually started doing, together with the Mexican Navy, a continuous cat control effort, more or less between 1994 and 1997. From the pellets that we found there, we can see that both in cats and stomachs, shearwaters were the main item. And if we go to the next, please. These are cats, these are cat stomachs. And, well, these are 8, and these are 4 cats. And in both of them, we can see another pattern that probably here with the yellow glowing like that is not so clear. We also were able to discover that above 500 meters, cats were not only taking shearwater, but were taking more birds than cats below 500 meters. The next one. And here we have the need for eradication. And I wanted to show you and to introduce to you this guy, who is José Ángel Sánchez Pacheco, co-founder of the Grupo de Ecología y Conservación de Islas. And thanks to this guy, most of the introduced animals in Mexican islands are gone. However, he sometimes is not so recognized, but he was the one who began with another colleague the mammal eradication program in many islands. This is a map that he provided to me around 2000, 2001, and you could already see all the islands that were already cleaned from introduced mammals. Right now, he lives in Cedros Islands, and he has a different life, but he is a big hero in conservation here in Mexico. The next one. Now, when we talk about eradications, we have to think about the possible negative impacts that they may have. It's something that I have talked to Federico and other friends from this eradication group in other times. Why? Because since McGuire Island, we knew that eradications have to be done carefully so that we don't damage the birds that we want to protect. Basically, that's the point. Eradication is not the main purpose. It's the vehicle to obtain and to save these birds that we love. As for McGuire Island, as a textbook example in the world, in Mexico, we have a very big forest fire in 2008 in Guadalupe Island, associated to the eradication team, that burned an area of more than 5 square kilometers. This report is available in the website of CONAVIO, and it's also a report made together with the Biosphere Reserve of Guadalupe and the National Commission on Protected Areas. And then, with that in mind, I'm trying to be careful with how we protect the birds we love. We move to the next one. One of the things eradications may cause is kind of collateral damage to things we don't pay attention to. So here we can see trails that are being used by ATVs, by the eradication team on Socorro Island. And we can see that in the roads, in the lines of these roads, are dead birds, dead crabs, and dead endemic lizards. This is kind of the collateral that we may think about. But we also have the possibility that the way we do the eradication may actually facilitate cat predation. Or when we open roads for these ATVs in forests and places that were never open and were so integral, we may be contributing to habitat fragmentation and then to impact on some of the endemic birds. There are new ecological interactions resulting from cat removal, and for instance, now we can see mice more abundantly in the forests of Socorro Island, and mice are known to be excellent predators of eggs in shearwater or seabirds. Anyways, the next one. And the other thing could be a faulty design. So if we look at the papers published, and here is one, just for instance, about the cat plan the cat eradication plan, we can see that traps and echo is concentrated in this part of the island. If we go, and I have done that job talking to people that are working with locals in Hawaii, we know that the cat is a very efficient machine to get pretty much everywhere. So the next one. When we look at the cat sign that we have seen on the island from 2010 and 2017, we can see that most of the eradication effort is done in this segment, but we have seen cats in these areas. And even if it is a cat, it is a cat. No? The next one. And especially when you go to the beaches, like Playa Blanca or Playa Norte, if you're in the beach, would you like to leave it? I guess the cat would stay as well. It's an area where they can find prey and where they can hang around for a while. The next one. So, we have then a problem with the fact that we know that there are cats, even if it is in low densities, they are present on those areas of the Hawaii. And they are still in numbers that could sustain a viable population. The other thing is the risk of opening roads. There was a plan, probably this ongoing plan, to make roads to go around the island. And I have to say that below this line, most of these areas were never penetrated by man. And in several of the papers I have written and I have observed, the shearwater has survived in the areas where it has survived for the fact of being covered by very dense understory, very dense vegetation. So, if we open roads, we may be allowing cats to go to places of the island where they could go, but not that easily. The next one. And in fact, that is what happens. So if you pay attention, this actually goes like that, but I wanted to put it that way so that you could see the tracks. And underneath what we have is an ATV track. So when we go there, we usually, I like to go, I like to spend Christmas and January 31st and all that on the island. It is nice because then I can concentrate on the shearwaters and the wildlife. No other people are working most of the times. And when we start walking all around the sectors that we walk for plant restoration schemes or for monitoring mockingbirds or parakeets, we find tracks of cats, indicating that they are still pretty much all over the island. They could be, as I said, in a low density, but still a viable population. The next one. There is another concern I have. Our friends who are doing the eradication, they are also studying the shearwater in a very close way. Yeah. So behind this trunk, you have a shearwater burrow. But to get there, they made this road. And to get to the other one, there is another road, and another, and another, and another, and another, and another. If a cat gets there, he will get all the burrows they are working with. And again, somebody from Hawaii corroborated that fear. Let's hope it doesn't happen. The next one. So, even though Federico and Tony I have been reporting that there is success, I have to caution you again that success is not that close. That even near your camp, there are cats marauding. In December, we found at least 3 cats and a female cat calling for a mate. So, what's the problem with the cat being here? Well, this is from 2 years ago. This is one track. This is where the nests are. This is about 2 kilometers. But it's not just like that. Here we have a trail that goes to the mountain. But then our friends have a very nice trail that from the camp to the nest is very well marked. And whenever a cat gets there, we're going to be in trouble. The next one. Now, probably cats have not done it, but we are not the only predators of Shearwater. We have a wonderful predator, natural predator, that is a red tail. And those guys are capable of looking at what you are doing, looking at the trails you open, at looking at the devices you place. And so, when I go there, I am checking for birds. And underneath a red-tailed nest that is just very surrounded by the area where all this trail network is located, I found these two humeri. And together with the help of Dr. Patricia Escalante at the National Collection of Birds in Mexico City, we compared the bones I found with the bones in the collection. And there is no question that they are at least a Buffinus Shearwater. And you may guess with what species. The next one. To finish, I would like then to say that we need to think about what we do, because what we do is for the things we love. The Shearwaters, the birds, are important. And because of that, in these conservation needs for northwestern Mexico, with Yuri and Cecilia, we have another talk to revise and to prompt for the need of very ethical, revised, and careful protocols when we are monitoring seabirds, because we know they have very fragile life cycles, and especially when we are working with the species like Townsend that are vulnerable and at the brink of extinction. We'll have a very wonderful session there in the symposium for the conservation needs. And I have to acknowledge all the people and institutions who have supported this research over the years. And the next one, again, we have the core support from all the collaborators of the Socorro Dog Project. We are also concerned about the conservation and restoration of the islands, in particular Socorro Island, so that we can bring this beautiful endemic dog back, and together, we all together, we can make we can write another success story. Thank you very much.